It's an oh-so-familiar tale of fighters putting everything into the fight game, making great sacrifices to become dream chasers, only to be chewed up and spat out once the dust has settled. MMA does not discriminate, from the adorned kings and queens to the many below them. Just as all roads lead to Rome, every fighter's path to that unceremonious end. A broken body, a fractured mind, a husk of a soul. Each man and woman stuck in a fighting loop, desperate to cling on to past glories or dreaming of another title run. The mentality of a fighter is one doomed and cursed, and this is why.
I never thought I'd struggle with it, but I mean, like, for some reason, when I wasn't fighting or in camp.
You know, you go years without losing. You start to kind of question things.
I thought the stars were aligning, and I thought this was my night. You know, I thought this was like destiny.
I feel at this point in time in my life that I'm just barely hitting my prime. If I went and I hit the pads, and I'm fucking sharp. Tony's going whatever, he's gonna retire. No, motherfuckers, fuck you. I'm gonna be done when I wanna be done.
For the millions watching at home, the thrill of the fight is what keeps us coming back. We risk little besides our money to watch these gladiators enter the pit. It's that anticipation of a knockout, a last-minute comeback, the desire to witness history. And for those on our screens, entering the octagon, it is the very same. Only they want to live and breathe every second, even if that means suffering the consequences. Once they get a taste of the thrill of the fight, there is simply no going back.
Man, it's nothing like a proper walkout with a bunch of people there.
I love it. It's really what attracted me to fighting the most, is just that walkout and people going crazy.
Outside of crude stimulation, a temporary high, to a fighter there is no greater shock to the system than planting fist upon chin. It's what keeps them coming back, as a life of normality becomes inconceivable.
You know, as a fighter, when you land a good shot, because you get the feedback on your fist. Yeah. There's nothing like it, you know what I mean? When you feel that solid connection and the knuckles go through the glove, you know, and you feel it, you're like, oh, that was a good one.
Oh, he got rocked. He heard him bad. He heard him bad. And again, Michael Bisping is the new UFC middleweight champion of the world.
A taste of something primal, an addiction, a dormant gene within us forged by generations gone by. Fighting unlocks it, instilling a championship mentality within. And along that journey to the mountaintop where gold lies, sacrifices are made. Friends, family, opportunities, all pushed to the wayside for that one moment, feeling like no other. Total catharsis.
I hope every one of you can feel this level of happiness just one time in your life.
For those few who reach the summit of the sport and claim that ultimate prize, a bounty of riches far bigger than just those 10.5 pounds of gold is found. The notorious Conor McGregor, perhaps the most infamous, a man who in his ascendancy was renowned for an elite mentality that took him to the very top, but perhaps one so driven that it would cement his eventual downfall.
I've lost my mind doing this game, yeah? Like Vincent van Gogh, he dedicated his life to his art and lost his mind in the process. That's happened to me. But fuck it, when that gold belt is around my waist, when my mother has a big mansion, when my girlfriend has a different car for every day of the week, when my kids have everything they ever want, then it will pay. Then I'm happy I lost my mind.
Years on from that legendary title run, McGregor is now a shell of his former self, tempted just like so many by the high life, the booze and party lifestyle. The many clips of Conor inebriated, irate or worse, not only paint a bad picture, but have totally tarnished the legacy of the man who was once called the face of the fight game.
Conor McGregor lives on a yacht in the middle of wherever the warmest place in the world is at that time. Well, once you get to that level, man, it's just, you're not getting up and getting punched in the face every day anymore.
And those constant claims of a return, one last chance at the belt, were for a time taken seriously. But approaching 4 years since his last appearance in the cage, McGregor remains now as nothing more than the boy who cried wolf. Empty threats, broken promises. And should a return eventually happen, it's to many too little, too late. Though the mindset of a fighting great may never waver, the clutches of time never cease nor falter. Every passing second, day, minute, hour, a fighter's body and mind decays just that little bit more. It's a reality for every gladiator, and yet one that few are willing to accept. When a life of fighting is all that is known, the idea of leaving it for another is not a reality many want to face.
How many more fights you got left on your UFC deal?
After I win this next one, I probably got like maybe 5.
They
don't want me to go. They want me to retire, but I'm not retiring.
Oh, they want you to retire?
I don't give a fuck what anybody says. After my fight with Patty, I didn't feel like I lost. Like, it was just like one of those things. I was happy.
Once the feared boogeyman of 155, El Cucui's reign of terror is matched equally by his unrivaled streak of losses. A record 8 straight, and yet Tony refuses to face the music. A state of delusion, unable to accept the reality that everyone else sees, hanging on to his past glories. The tragic tale of Tony Ferguson may well be the most extreme of them all, but it acts as a harsh reminder to many. Overstay your welcome in this game and pay the price.
You know, people see him get knocked out by Michael Chandler, and they see him lose to Nate. They see these fights.
It's a damn shame, man.
That's a long road of a battered body from war.
What goes up must come down, and people have a very hard time with that.
Tony tonight looked like he should retire.
And even those with legacies as esteemed as the great Alexander Volkanovski are not safe from the fight game's mental grip. His love for the sport has granted him the drive to do incredible things. 5 title defenses at featherweight, history no doubt made. But it's a relationship with fighting near symbiotic, unhealthy, a clear reliance on the gloves, bag and cage to suppress his mental insecurities and problems. His hunger for fighting would culminate in a choice to take risk where others wouldn't, daring to be great on short notice at UFC 294.
Would I prefer a better camp? Of course, everyone would. Everyone, you know what I'm like with my preparation. I like to make sure, but I'm the man for the job. If anyone can do it, if anyone can do this on 12 days' notice, off the couch, as they would say, it's me.
As much as the sport's highest highs may occasionally prove otherwise, it's clear in this unforgiving game that there aren't many fairy tale endings where the stars align. And for Alex, that would again prove to be the case.
I know you believe you can beat him because you almost beat him in the first fight. However, you had a full camp.
Yes.
How much better are you with a full camp? You're better. I can do it is not a good strategy against the best pound for pound fighter in the world. You don't take that rematch, in my opinion, with 10 days notice. That seems insane.
The fallout of such a brutal knockout would see a cathartic release of emotions from the Australian. A sad sight, but one that would grant us a rare look into the array of emotions so many of these fighters go through on the daily.
Literally drank every day. And then I just had to snap myself out of it. I thought this was the fight, this was it. Main purpose in life is obviously right now, is obviously my family, my fighting, and when I'm not, I can't. Just losing the clock, so I had to take the fight.
Like, it really is hard for athletes, I never thought I'd struggle with it, but I mean, like, for some reason, when I wasn't fighting or in camp,
A fatal error, but a lesson not learned. The hunger and drive to compete was not so easily sated, and Alex's decision to defend his featherweight throne only 4 months later after such a brutal finish was a clear death wish.
I worry that because of his greatness, we're going to believe that he's going to fight Topuria, and you almost expect the same thing. But what if it's too soon?
Volk's cursed outcome was through a silver lining brought upon by the love of the game, a drive to be the best. But for many since Conor McGregor's explosive arrival, their minds are lost instead to orchestrated personas, fake characters, as the Irishman did so as his authentic self.
But at the end of the day, the knockout speaks for itself, and you hit the deck like a bitch.
Many since have attempted to follow his footsteps with their own characters and creations. For Colby Chaos Covington, a once nice and honourable man by all accounts, but in chasing dreams, the gold and glory those above him possessed, a heel turn of drastic proportions was deemed necessary.
He's a big mouth fucking idiot.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in GSP, that Serb-sucking Canadian.
It's not as though, insulting an entire country is above. Oh, right, you may be going to Montreal.
What was at first glance clearly satirical, a page out of the WWE playbook, would eventually seep into Colby's personal dealings, sacrificing every relationship, burning every bridge, all to chase money, status, and fame.
I don't sell out like fucking Colby Covington and talk bad about people who I roll with.
Kobe's a really bad person. He really is. He really, really is. There's no coincidence that, Tyrone Woodley got to know him and hates him. Masvidal got to know him and hates him.
Me and this individual shared a lot of memories,
Yeah, you guys were real friends.
At some point, I would have considered us real friends. knowing that he'd take to the internet or online to bash me when I had never bashed him, and he just took to bashing it. Maybe he's gonna get 10 more pay-per-view buys when we do fight. If you would sell out our friendship like that so quick, we never had a friendship.
As his boisterous mask cracks and crumbles, the lines now fully blurred. Covington lay at the back end of his career with 3 failed attempts at the welterweight throne, deep down within the psyche, asking himself whether it was all worth it. There is one man within the world of MMA who perhaps knew his time was nearly up and chose to retire not just on top of the world, but remained unscathed through every professional outing, through every punch, kick and takedown, true to himself when others chose the villainous path. The crown jewel of the Nurmagomedov clan, Khabib's stoic mentality towards the fight game was different from most, carrying the same if not greater drive than his colleagues, but a different outlook on life after fighting. To him, it was never about the bloodshed, the adrenaline in those crucial moments. Victory was a formality, an expectation, and his only true desire lay within claiming the lightweight throne and respecting the wishes of his family.
Under the chin, there's the tap! Khabib Nurmagomedov!
Today, I want to say, it was my last fight. And no way I'm gonna come here without my father. I talked with my mother. She don't wanna I go fight without father, but I promise her it's gonna be my last fight. And if I give my word, it was my last fight here, I have to follow this. I have to do, I come to this sport to show who I am, to become the best. I'm world champion, I'm pound for pound #1. I defend my title 3 times. I win biggest fight in UFC history. What else? Only money fights, but I don't need money fight,
For lesser men and women, the allure of another payday orchestrated by Dana White would be enough to coax them back in. But Khabib has proven to challenge the fighter's mental curse, stay true to his morals, and leave the sport on top.
We had some great talks. We talked about lots of things, and he was ready to retire. I think he's done. I don't think he'll come back. He feels like it's like his fighting was a lot of pressure on his parents. And then what just went down with his dad, and now he's looking at his mom saying, I just can't do this to my mother.
GSP another, though likely through different reasons. For all of the talk of the thrill of the fight being an addictive drug that's found nowhere else, the man many regard to be the greatest fighter of a generation instead resents the art of war. But that, perhaps, is why he is so successful and left the sport when the time was right.
I never liked to fight. I never liked it. I despised it. I never liked it. I never enjoyed it a second. Never liked it. I like to win. But the worst day of the year for me is the days that I'm fighting. It's terrible. It's unbearable. And then I start realizing, I said, you know what? There's no courage without fear.
Oh! GSP drops Bisping! George St. Pierre has done it!
For the many on the other side of that bloodstained coin, who choose to regretfully hang up the gloves after a long and painful career, most attempted back into the fight game. Now an all too familiar tale. Take the Diamond Dustin Poirier, a man who bowed out honorably with his loss to the pound-for-pound king and promised his retirement.
I don't have it in me. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to climb the ladder again. I've been doing this a long time, and it's a very selfish sport. And I'm ready to be a father and be a husband and be home and be into a routine.
And yet it seems only months later, after showing his heart in front of the thousands, that he wants to return to the game he had only just left, chasing that addictive feeling of victory. Dustin's case is not the most egregious either. Take the cursed return of the elder Diaz brother, a man by all accounts unofficially retired, and yet through knowing nothing else other than the art of war, chose to put on the gloves once more. A fool's game, and a loss to another veteran in Robbie Lawler proved it so.
My thing about Nick Diaz is when I looked at him physically, I was like, I don't know how much he's been training.
Why come back and do this now? Why are you here this week?
It's just what I do, It's just what I do. I try to get away from it, but really it's kind of inevitable. There's things I could do, but that's not going to work out, I might as well just take my punches, and if I don't do this, then I don't know how I'm going to feel.
Looking to fight once more at the age of 41 against a man in Vicente Luque who follows a similar path, he seems doomed to compete until his body fails him. For these men, it's a case of clinging to that chemical reaction in the brain that only fighting can produce, but for many more it's delusions of grandeur. Adamant their skills still hold up even after an extensive period out. TJ Dillashaw most infamous, who after establishing himself as one of the world's best bantamweights, before declining as everyone else does, now refuses to let go of his past glories.
But a lot of times I get anxiety. Like if I go home and sit on my couch and I watch these guys walking out, all I can do is think about myself. All I can think about is I'm walking out to the cage, I'm getting ready, and it really kind of gives me those butterflies that To be honest, I don't want. I know that I'm the best in the weight class. I can come back and get the belt. When I'm good at something, I'm going to do it till the wheels fall off, you know?
The fighter's motivation comes not just through the desire to be the greatest or experience that adrenaline inside of the cage, but also to provide for yourself and those around you. Money is at the bottom line, everything. It enables our favorite fighters to keep the lights on, pay their coaches, and provide entertainment for us at home. And with an occupation as physically and mentally demanding as this one, you may expect these athletes to be well paid, and yet that is far from the case. The result is these men and women fighting long beyond their physical capabilities, all just for another measly paycheck until their bodies finally succumb. And for those lost souls once retired, many returned for money granted not within the confines of those 8 caged walls, but the squared circle instead, seeking one last payday instead of championship glory. It's a decision that more often than not leaves reputations tarnished, any respect from the fans shattered instantaneously.
You will find out very quickly and in a violent fashion, and you will embarrass the sport of MMA.
Get my money, Jake! Get my motherfucking money, Jake! Get my motherfucking money, Jake!
As soon as you get hit, you're gonna open them big old fucking eyes and go, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Step into the...
Those in this game spat out by the fighting machine are also the victims of something deeper, much more sinister. For the doomed mentality of a fighter does not come with just loss, damage to muscle and bone, but also the brain too. Combat sports' silent killer, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE for short, has finally shown its hand in the world of MMA. A brain disease that tends to appear later in life, it's more commonly known in the boxing realm, characterized by slurring in speech, lapses of concentration, and as modern MMA passes its 30-year anniversary, the first signs are finally beginning to show.
I'm gonna try to set up my punches. I'm not gonna let them breathe. I'm gonna try to set up the body punch. You know, I'm gonna set up the knee to the body. I'm gonna set up the knee to the leg.
Anything that I did, I learned from, but it was because, like, you know, of my own ignorance as to it. Because, you know, I didn't have no one. My dad wasn't around like that. You know what I mean?
Hey, how's it going? This is me, Nam Fan. Just getting done with my morning run. Now I'm getting ready to train at my school, the Madu Academy.
Yeah, how you doing? 10 miles this morning. Woke up late. I did run 5 miles.
We won't know the true extent of its effect on our favorite fighters for years to come, but the damage done across other sports has proven to be extremely detrimental. And if you see greater knowledge on the subject that I cannot provide, I advise you to watch Mixed Martial Academic's video for a proper in-depth look. To many, it's simply part of the game, a small price to pay for salvation, gold and glory. And that goes not just for CTE, but for every other repercussion mentioned today. These people are born fighters, know no life elsewhere, and just perhaps, amidst the darkness and negativity, the high points in this game shine a light for just a moment, and remind us all why these warriors put it all on the line.